BBC Radio Stoke with the Electric Light Orchestra and Mr. Blue Sky. Back to clickbait then. These are those little things that pop up on people's social media feeds. You know, you won't believe what happened next. This one trick will change your life. Celebrity loses something somewhere, and then you click on it and it's either not up to date or not relevant. They're just there to grab your attention. In the olden days, it would have been headlines. They've always been a thing to try and get you to read the article. In a digital world, it's sometimes known as clickbait. BBC Radio Stoke's Emma Newman explains what it is.
Clickbait is a type of online content, usually a headline or image, designed to grab your attention and make you click. The human mind is naturally curious. When we hear part of a story, we want to know the rest. That's what clickbait plays on. Something called the curiosity gap. That's the space between what the headline gives you and what it suggests you'll get if you click through. It might promise you something shocking, emotional, or mysterious, but when you click, the actual story might be disappointing, misleading, or completely unrelated. In the online world, everyone's competing for your attention, from adverts to hyped up stories. Sometimes it's harmless, but it can also pull you into misleading content or even conspiracy theories. And once you click, algorithms start feeding you more of the same. Not all catchy headlines are bad, of course, but if something sounds too outrageous or dramatic to be true, it probably is.
So all this week we've been talking about clickbait and hearing about the impact it's having on us as a society. Elizabeth Poole is Professor of Media and Communications at Keele University and told us those clickbait headlines are all about making money.
The whole point of the attention economy is to monetise our attention. So that clicking raises views for advertisers and therefore it has a benefit for the people who are producing that content.
Former editor of The Sentinel, Martin Tideswell, talked about why online news sites need the money from the adverts.
The fact that they exist and the fact that the advertiser's paying money allows you to read it for free. So you are getting a free service. You might not be happy with the quality of it, but you are getting a free service. So until that model changes, as I say, the subscription model would be the one to go for. Because how ironic it is, Stuart, that we pay a couple of pounds for a local newspaper, for example, but we don't pay anything for the same news website online, the same content.
And Dr. Chris Stiff, who's a senior lecturer in psychology at Keele University, told us the impact it has.
In the short term, it's sort of hard to disengage and do other tasks. In the longer term, it can mean that your ability to control your direction of your behaviour, so, you know, let's say doing your homework, that has continually eroded your sort of skill set, if you like. Your self-control is gradually eroded over time, and so when it comes to doing these tasks that need your engagement and your concentration, you're just not very good at it. You're constantly thinking of that enjoyable, pleasurable experience on your phone. So that's obviously quite concerning.
Well, some people are fighting back against this, among them Rick Baitman, founder of the Anti-Clickbait Society 2.0, which you can find on social media, and he's with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Stuart. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for coming on to talk about this. Why did you start the Anti-Clickbait Society?
It all started because I was getting caught out myself far too often, and it was starting to annoy me. So I'd click a headline thinking I was about to, learn something, and I'd end up knee-deep in adverts, pop-ups, endless paragraphs of filler, and still, a lot of the time, none the wiser, because I'd run out of time. So, yeah, you'd finally find the answer buried halfway down the page, and it's either misleading, uninteresting, or just plain wrong. And just started to think to myself, well, I'm going to start putting the answers in the comment section for people to have a look at, so they don't have to scroll endlessly and look at irrelevant adverts and, all the toothbrushes on sale there from Amazon. I might get a little bit of that, and before you know it, you forgot what you was even there for in the first place.
So what you do is you put the clickbaity headlines that the organisations, the news providers, whatever you want to call them, have put out, and then you put the story often in one sentence, don't you?
Yeah, so try and keep it as concise as possible, where it gets straight to the point, and then people can see the headline, the original headline, and they can get to the only part that they really care about as quickly as possible, and then move along with their day.
The argument would be from those providing this that they need people to click on it to see the adverts because that's how they make their money these days. What would you say to that?
I totally understand that. It's that they're a business and they need to bring in some revenue, but it's the quality of it and it's the more sinister undertones that I don't like, and how it can lead to division by being purposefully misleading in their headlines. They know that it's going to stir a division. A lot of people don't even click on it, but they'll get their money through all the interactions through either Meta or another platform. So I do understand that they have to make money because they're a business, but that shouldn't mean that the quality should go down so badly that you don't even know what you're reading anymore. And deathbait is terrible for it. You know,
I was going to ask you about that because you use this term deathbait. What is that, and why is that a problem?
It's because it lessens people's lives anyway, for a start, and it exploits situations and people's passings, which can be very bad for the people who are involved. But the worst kind of deathbait is when it's someone who isn't necessarily even famous, but you're tricked into thinking that they are. And then you just get a comment section full of people saying, who? And it's not particularly a nice thing for anything to happen. And these situations are exploited far too often. A prime example was one from yesterday. I think it was the Mirror saying F1 driver dies after worst pile-up in British Grand Prix history. Now, it was an Italian racing driver who died at the age of 84, and the pile-up happened in 1974. So I don't think that the two stories were related. But the headline would make people think, oh, well, who's this? This is someone that's recent. It's someone that's new. No, it's not. It's a man that retired many, many years ago. And another one was a sports star, 19-year-old sports star dies. As tributes flood in. You clicked on it and it was a 19-year-old racehorse from Australia. You know, it's just misleading and it's nonsense.
And lots of people commenting who underneath, I would have thought. You obviously spend quite a bit of time on this, and I can say that as one of, I think you've got about 35,000 followers on Facebook last time I saw, and I've been one of them for a while, so I'm glad you've come onto the programme to talk about it this morning.
Thank you very much.
You obviously spend a lot of time doing this, because there's always at least half a dozen stories a day that you've done. How long are you spending on this? Or is it actually really easy to pick up the clickbait because there's so much of it?
Well, yeah, it's not a case of trying to find it. It's a case of trying to avoid it. It's the majority of the stories that you'll see nowadays will be clickbait. And, so it does take a little bit of time to actually read the story and get through all of the adverts and things that we've been discussing, and then to write a quick summary of it, maybe sometimes a little joke that some people do or don't approve of. And, so it takes a few minutes per story, but then I'll usually do them all in batches and schedule them out throughout the day. So altogether, it doesn't take as long as it might seem, but there's certainly no shortage of it. And as long as the sun rises, and as long as there's the internet, there will be clickbait to anti-clickbait.
What examples have you got for us from today's news then? Are there any out today?
Oh, yeah, here's a good one for you. This one is actually from the Mirror. So, British scientist killed by carrots after chilling experiment went wrong. So that's an interesting story, you think, but...
Sounds like he fell into a fridge. What happened?
Yeah, no, a guy called Dr. Basil Brown apparently managed to drink himself into oblivion on carrot juice when he was 48 years old, and then he took loads of vitamin A tablets and his liver gave out. But this hot off the press news article came from 1974, but the Mirror decided to post it today. So there's a good example of ancient clickbait that people get dragged into. And the Sun decided they wanted to jump in with an old story as well. Fatboy Slim drunkenly kissed Ronaldo, the Brazilian one, not the Portuguese one, at Ronaldo's wedding in 2005, because we all care about that right now, don't we? There's another. Oh yeah, this was quite a good one from Unilad, one of the prime culprits, part of the Lad Bible group family, who are just wonderful journalists, every single one of them, and I take my hat off to them. I really do. They do a cracking job. How many nuclear weapons are there in the world, and who has the most? The answer might surprise you. Can you have a guess who might have the most nuclear weapons in the world, Stuart?
Well, I would guess it would either be America or Russia.
Yes, it's Russia. How surprised
well done,
are
me.
you? Yeah, I know. I nearly fell off my toilet when I read that. I was so surprised. So thankfully, I was sitting down. So there are just some examples from this morning, and there could be a lot more as the day goes on.
And what kind of reaction do you get to this? Because you're out there essentially saying what the story is that the clickbait has either led or misled you to. How do the people who are using this as a way to make money feel? Do you get complaints?
Yeah, we've had some pretty serious complaints, and we've been blocked by like numerous outlets before. The Daily Mail aren't a fan of us at all. They don't like us. Lad Bible really aren't fans of us, even though I say nothing but nice things about Lad Bible and all of their offshoots, and they still treat us in this way, which is so hurtful. And they don't like us, and they block us or they try and get us removed. And there's not very much you can do about it, because you can block the page, but when you've got 35,000 pairs of eyes out there looking for the stories and it could be sent over, there's not really very much that they can do about it. As long as it's free usage, fair usage, then it's a warning sign to them guys to clean up their act and be better. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on doing what you should be able to do.
You've mentioned some of the bad ones. I feel I should ask this just in fairness. Are the BBC doing clickbait too?
To be fair, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the BBC, I can think of, on one hand, and you've mentioned how many posts go out a day, on one hand, I could say the amount of times I've used the BBC. So people can have their own opinions about the BBC and the impartiality. That's not anything what I'm about or what any of the admins are about that do this. It's about the clickbait headlines. So yeah, there's been a handful maybe, usually from some of the more local pages, but BBC in general do it properly. Headline that tells you the main story, caption, brief explanation. I should be able to answer a pub quiz question with that information. That's the way I always judge it. Could I answer a pub quiz question on this subject if I went out to a pub quiz tonight? BBC, 999 times out of 1,000 will do that, and that's the way that it should be. But not one of the culprits. No, I mean the big culprits. It started off as your usual suspects, like Lad Bible, like Uni Lad, like Joe. I mean, you don't expect anything better from them, but then it started to creep into actual newspapers, the mainstream, and now, as I said earlier, you can't escape it. It's crept into every single port.
It's a really interesting thing. What do you think is sinister about this, finally?
The sinister side of it is that I think that it causes a lot of division, and it's done by design. It's not done by accident, and it's the dumbing down of society, because people fall for it hook, line and sinker. If there's a controversial subject, which there often is in the news at the moment, because the country and the world itself is a very split place, and it's very easy to get people to start arguing, and they'll get money out of the engagement as well. Don't forget, so they want to do that, and people can't find the actual answer, so they'll go to the comment section for the answer. Which I know it's ironic me saying that, because that's exactly what I do, but at least I give the answer. But people jump to conclusions, and the sinister thing behind it is it depends on the outlet and depends what their view might be. That's the story and that's the narrative that's being driven. And if that becomes the new normal, there's older people that should know better and young people that don't know any different. This is all that they've ever had, and that's the sinister thing behind it. It's making us as a society, and I'm not being over dramatic here, it's making us as a society worse, and it's not adding to our intelligence, it's taking it away.
Rick, not your real name, I presume. You need to protect your identity from these people. Thanks very much for talking to us this morning. Take care.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Rick Baitman from the Anti-Clickbait Society. They're on 2.0 at the moment. They may end up on 3.0 at some point if they get closed down again. Of course, Lad Bible, Uni Lad Joe and the other publishers he's mentioned there aren't here to have their say. We might ask them for a comment, actually, on the basis of what we've heard there. Is it something that is upsetting you? Is it something that you are aware of? We've talked through the week about clickbait, this hooking you in with sometimes misleading, sometimes obscure headlines to get you to click on stuff which then exposes you to the adverts, which is how these organisations, all of the ones Rick has mentioned there, are legitimate and legal and in many instances respected outlets. He doesn't like the way they do it.